Hey everyone, I am back to read another Choose Your Own Adventure book. This one is called Magic Master by Edward Packard. It's Choose Your Own Adventure number 122. And you'll notice this Choose Your Own Adventure book is a bit larger than the ones I've read in the past. Actually, this one's a hardcover book, and it's a lot larger than the paperback books. For comparison, here's a paperback book, but I haven't read that one yet. So yeah, less pages, I think. Actually, probably the same number of pages. Yeah. Anyways, here is the cover art. Hi, Rachel. And here is the back cover. Some green stuff on there. I don't know where that came from. You're the star. 14 exciting endings. Will you discover the amazing secrets of the Magic Master? You've been a long-time fan of the Magic Master, whose spellbinding feats of magic have astounded audiences the world over. When the famous magician not only comes to your hometown to perform, but actually moves there, you decide to visit his house, hoping to discover the secret of his powers. When you arrive, there's no one home, but the door is unlocked. You are tempted to go inside and take a look around. What will you do? Will you just break into their house? If you go inside the house and look around, turn to page 13. If you decide against it, turn to page 32. But be careful. The Magic Master is powerful. You could be kidnapped, never to be heard from again. Or you could learn the secrets of the Magic Master and become his assistant in the act. What happens next in the story? It all depends on the choices you make. How does the story end? Only you can find out. And the best part is that you can keep reading and rereading till you've had not one but many incredibly daring experiences. Oh, hey, Rob. Are you all ready to have some daring experiences? I'm holding. I just got. I just got Skateboard Champion, so actually looked that book up because Rachel had said that Rachel, you said you hope you didn't miss the one that was like about basketball, about being like a basketball champion. So I was like, well, I don't have that book, but I do have Skateboard Champion, so I'll have to read that one soon. It sounds like that'll be fun. Hey, Stephanie, this is a hardcover. Yes. Yes, I haven't been holding on to Skateboard Champion for like a super long time. It's like, should I read Skateboard Champion? That sounds like fun. Now I'll read this like really boring, dry Dungeons and Dragons adventure. I'm sure people will love that. All right. Oh, and this is kind of funny. This comes from the Black Mountain Elementary School in Kelowna, British Columbia. Looks like it was taken out a few times back in 1991. Or no, 1995 and 1996. It says magic, fiction, adventure stories. Yeah, Valerie loves the D&D ones. That's why I read them, because she likes them so much. Sky Jam, that's it. It's like Space Jam. I wonder if it's probably released around the same time period. All right. Kids can't stop reading the Choose Your Own Adventure stories. They just can't. They can't stop. And there's the same 4 kids that have been reading these Choose Your Own Adventure stories. This kid's always going to be 11 years old. Alicia Beyer? Yeah, 11 years old for the past 5 years. It's weird how that works. I mean, the Dungeons and Dragons books would be good if they actually had more choices, you know? Well, it's like, instead of a choice, it'd be like, turn to page 60, turn to page 49. And the teachers love Choose Your Own Adventure books too. Choose Your Own Adventure titles in large print editions. I guess that's what this is, a large print edition. There's a Master of Kung Fu. No, I probably won't be reading that one. Return of the Ninja. No, probably not reading that one either. You Are a Millionaire. That's probably okay. The Worst Day of Your Life. I think we've read that one. Alien Go Home. I don't think I've read that one. Daredevil Park. I'm probably not referring to the Daredevil comic book character. The Search for Aladdin's Lamp. Yeah, probably not. Probably won't read that one. No. Probably not. Ghost Train. Sounds like that would be good. Magic Master, which is what we're reading right now, and then Dinosaur Island. So, yeah, Alien Go Home and Ghost Train. All right, and here's the nice thing about the larger book format is you can see the illustrations much more clearly. The illustrations are actually pretty good. Rachel was saying that they were illustrated by Frank Boll, and he is a well-known comic book artist. And yeah, it's just very good illustrations. They're not as cartoony as they usually are. Oh, wow, this is 1995. This almost it's practically yesterday. The first edition, published in 1995. Warning: do not read this book straight through from beginning to end. These pages contain many different adventures that you may have when Bonza, the Magic Master, moves to your hometown. From time to time, as you read along, you have a chance to make a choice. After you make your decision, follow the instructions to find out what happens to you next. The amazing Bonza can perform feats of magic unlike any you have ever seen. If you make the right choices, you'll learn the Magic Master's secrets and have a lot of fun. But always think carefully before you act. Otherwise, the magician's next trick may be on you. Uh-oh. Got those advanced reader copies. Yeah, they got like the next 20 books in the series to read. So wow, these were great. Yeah, it's just the same review for the next 5 years. Choo Choo. Oh, was that the Ghost Train? On the board. Ha 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 ha. Sorry, that was terrible. Alright. And here we are. Secrets of the Great Magicians. Yeah, I like the illustrations here. They look really cool. Those actually look like actual books. Very three-dimensional. Alright. For a long time, you've been wanting to see a performance by the great Bonza, the world-famous magician who is known as the Magic Master. When your friend Jeff Latham calls to tell you that Bonza has moved to Lakeville, your hometown, you can't help but be excited. Are you sure? That's pretty hard to believe, you say. It's true, Jeff replies. He bought that big old house with the high hedges on Chestnut Street. My dad's getting us tickets to see Bonza's show in Park City next month. Do you want to come with us? I sure do, you say. I can't wait. 3 weeks later, you're sitting in the Memorial Theater in Park City with Jeff and his parents. The lights have dimmed. As you and the rest of the audience wait with anticipation for the show to begin, you see a dog step out from behind the curtain. The dog, a Dalmatian, starts walking slowly across the stage. An angry voice calls from offstage, "Spot, come back here!" The dog pauses for a second and looks back, then keeps on walking. A moment later, Bonza appears on stage. He is fat and rather silly looking, with a full white beard and a flowing black cape. They got started pretty early with fat shaming here. Oh, he's fat. That guy doesn't even look fat. All right. With a full white beard and a flowing black cape. He's holding a leash, and as he runs stiffly after the dog, he shouts, "Spot, come back! The show hasn't even started yet!" And everyone's laughing at him. It's not getting off to a good start. He totally looks regular size, yeah. We named the dog Bonza. Junior, I think they got us. It belongs in a museum. Alright. Everyone in the audience is laughing. You know that they're all wondering the same thing you are. Can this goof really be the great Bonza, the Magic Master? Suddenly, with a blinding flash of light, the dog disappears. The audience gasps. Bonza looks as startled as anyone. He throws up his hands and looks out at the audience sadly. "How can I do my show if my dog has disappeared?" he exclaims. People start clapping. They realize that Bonza has already performed his first trick. But Bonza keeps standing there, sad-faced. "I'm not kidding," he says. "That dog is important to me, and now he's gone." Bonza sounds so convinced that you're not sure whether to take him seriously or not. If only Spot would reappear, I'd be so happy, the magician says. He was the best dog I ever had. Suddenly there is a loud bark from the rear of the auditorium. Several people shout, "There he is!" as the dog races up the aisle. He leaps onto the stage and into Bonza's arms. The audience claps wildly. People shake their heads in amazement. Bonza gives Spot a dog biscuit and a pat on the rump as the dog runs off stage. Yeah, this magician show does suck. I agree, Rachel. Not. Oh, this is the second Indiana Jones reference for you today?
Yeah.
Go on to the next page. After that, Bonza performs one great feat of magic after another, ending with the most amazing trick of all. A curtain is drawn back, revealing Bonza sitting on a horse. The horse is standing on a large wooden platform, which is suspended from the ceiling by 4 thick chains. A machine makes the platform rise to a height of about 6 feet above the stage. Bonza, still on horseback, waves at the audience. The curtain is drawn in front of the platform again, so the audience can no longer see the horse and rider. Suddenly, the curtain and the platform collapse and crash to the floor. The horse and rider have completely disappeared. How dared Bonza make you worry about Spot? Oh no, what happened to Spot? Oh, he's okay. Go on to the next page again. The audience gasps in disbelief. Then, strangely, nothing happens. People begin to get restless. The manager comes on stage, and the audience quiets down. "I'm terribly sorry," the manager says. "The great Bonza and his horse truly have disappeared. We've called the police, and I only hope they can find him. Now I'm afraid I'll just have to ask you to go home." You follow Jeff and his parents as they file out of the auditorium. When you reach the lobby, there is Bonza, still on his horse, leaning down and signing programs that his fans are holding up to him. "No wonder they call him the Magic Master," Mr. Latham says. Couldn't he have just, had the owner in on the act and, pretended he didn't know where he went? But he's probably a real magic user. I'm sure that's not what really happened. What kind of dog and pony show is this? Yeah, literally, dog and pony show. Oh, man. Bonza. Page 22. On the way home from the show, you and Jeff decide that you're going to find out how the great Bonza performs his amazing feats. Mr. Latham, who is driving, overhears your conversation. "Before you get involved with Bonza," he says, "you should know that he's already annoyed a lot of people. His house is in a quiet residential neighborhood, but he's moved all kinds of equipment into it, and into his barn, too. Some of his neighbors have formed something called the Concerned Citizens Group. They claim that he's a public nuisance. They say they hear strange noises coming from Bonza's barn, that he sets all the dogs in the neighborhood howling. In fact, some people want to make Bonza move out of Lakeville. They say he's a bad influence on the youth of the community." All right, all that magic. Kids getting into magic these days, and next thing you know, going to be doing Dungeons and Dragons, and then trying to cast real magic spells. Okay. "Well, I don't know about that," Jeff says, "but I'd love to find out how he does his tricks." "Me too," you say. "Maybe we could get jobs working for him as magician's apprentices." "Maybe," Jeff says, "but even if we did, I bet it would be a long time before he'd let us in on his really big secrets." He whispers to you, "Maybe we could spy on him." Go on to the next page. Like our neighborhood said that we are a public nuisance. Do you want to go see Bonza? No? The end. At the very beginning. It's like the end. End of the story. Didn't go to see Bonza. That's it. Concerned Citizens. Sounds like the forerunner of Next Door. You grin at the thought. "Let's meet tomorrow after school. Then we'll decide what to do." The next afternoon, you and Jeff meet at Sam's soda shop to discuss your strategy. If you say, Let's ask Bonza to hire us as apprentices. Turn to page 8. If you say, let's spy on Bonza and see what we can learn that way, turn to page 78. So should we ask Bonza to make us his apprentices? Or spy on him to see what we can learn that way? I mean, I think in the 80s, I remember back in the 80s we did get like a magic trick kit to like learn some simple magic tricks. I think that was, I mean, it was, I don't know if it was like super big back in the 80s, but certainly it was like a thing. And like, it's not any kind of thing at all now, I don't think. Oh yeah, you did miss the part where Bonza isn't missing anymore. Like they pretty much didn't even make a big deal out of it. Like they left the auditorium and there he was like in the hallway like signing autographs and stuff as if like nothing happened. Yeah, so it was like a blink and you miss it thing. He was just like still on his horse in the like in the lobby. Yeah. We can't spy on Bonza. I mean, we could, but he'd probably use his magic to find out that we were doing it, maybe? No. Anyone think we should try to spy on Bonza? We'll probably get trapped in his house and never be able to leave. We'll be overcome by the stench from all the multicolored smells inside the house. We'll suffocate. Apprenticeship? Yeah, let's do the apprenticeship. We'll try. Not the apprentice, but, you know, the apprenticeship. Okay. Jeff agrees with your plan to ask Bonza to take you on as his assistants. The two of you bike over to Chestnut Street, where Bonza lives. When you arrive, you peer through a narrow opening in the high hedges at Bonza's Victorian house. It is an impressive-looking structure with steep pitched gables, several balconies with vine-covered railings. Oh, I hate vine-covered railings. And a high turret of the sort that you might see on a castle. Behind the house, to one side, where you'd expect to see a garage, is a large barn. It would be fun to see the view from that turret, Jeff says. The whole house looks like fun, you reply. Let's go. The two of you park your bikes just inside the hedge and head down the walk towards the front door. Jeff rings the doorbell several times, but no one answers. You put your hand on the doorknob and, without thinking, turn it. Hey, it's unlocked. You push open the door and call out, "Hello, anyone home?" You listen for a moment, but there is no answer. I guess he's not here, you say. I'm surprised he'd leave the place unlocked. He must have a lot of valuable things inside. You start to shut the door again, but Jeff's hand is on your arm. Almost in a whisper, he says, "This could be our chance. Let's go in and take a look around. I'm dying to see what kind of stuff he's got in there." And there you are on your bikes, looking at his house. We're at the Frankenstein place. There's a light. Well, you might be dying, once you go in there, you'll be dying to see what kinds of stuff is in there, because you'll see what kind of stuff is in there, and then you'll die. Maybe. Maybe not. Turn to page 40. People are dying to get in. You don't know what to think of Jeff's suggestion. You're more curious than ever to see the inside of Bonza's house. But you're worried about what could happen if you were caught snooping. I don't know, you say. We could get in trouble. What trouble? Jeff says. We won't take anything. We'll just look around. Chances are no one will ever know. But even if Bonza catches us, what's he going to do? He'll just kick us out and start locking his doors when he's not home. He might call the police, you say. Jeff shrugs. So he might call the cops. So what? They're not going to put us in jail just for being curious. I mean, probably not. Probably won't, step on your neck or anything like that. You're tempted to look around inside. On the other hand, you have a feeling it might not be a good idea. I think Jeff Jeff is not our lawyer. He's as much he's like that Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Like, as your attorney, I advise you to break into the house. I advise you the police won't do anything. And take some of these pills that are in my bag. If you go inside the house and look around, turn to page 13. If you decide against it, turn to page 32. We could get him thrown out of the Magician's Guild if we uncover all the secrets. 32. Oh, hell yes, look around. So Rachel says we should look around. Valerie says no. Yeah, go to page 13. Look around. Right. Sounds like people want to look around. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? He just calls the cops. No big deal. No biggie. You're all a bunch of Jeffs. All right, we're going to look around. What's the worst that could happen? You and Jeff enter the house and walk cautiously through the darkened hallway and into the living room. The curtains are drawn, and though it's a sunny day, the room is dark and dreary. It looks pretty much like a normal living room, Jeff says. You hardly hear him. You are staring at a painting on the wall. It's a portrait of a man, and his eyes look so real that they seem to follow you as you walk around the room. You wonder if it's possible that Bonza is behind the painting, watching you. You nudge Jeff and say in a low voice, "Maybe we should get out of here." "Shh," he says, putting a finger to his lips. "We'd better whisper. For all we know, there might be someone upstairs. Let's check out the next room." And there's Bonza looking at us, and we're all like, "Whoa. Is that Bonza looking at us?" I'm scared. I'd also be scared of like the skulls that are just like sitting there in the cabinet there. That's a picture of Gene Hackman. Kind of does look like Gene Hackman. No one wants to start a war. We just want to keep the threat alive. Page 27. All right. You and Jeff tiptoe towards the open door at the far end of the room. Your eyes are more accustomed to the dimness now. Then you notice a bookshelf against the wall by the door. Some of the books on it are so old that their bindings are crumbling into dust. One of them in particular catches your eye. It's a thick volume bound in dark red leather. Printed in gold script on the spine is the title, Secrets of the Great Magicians. Yeah, that's all how you find out the magician's secrets. Is going to be a book that like basically just tells you that it's the secrets of the great magicians. It's that easy. "Hey Jeff," you whisper, "look at this." "Boy, I bet there's some good stuff in here. Maybe we should take a look," Jeff says. You glance around the room. Bonza may return any minute now. You want to look at the book. Perhaps you should explore the rest of the house. Come back to the volume later if you have time. If you decide to look in the book, turn to page 37. If you decide to look in the next room, turn to page 15. I label all my important secrets. It's actually a VHS tape. You open the book and it's like a fake book with like a VHS tape inside. Secrets of the Great Magicians. I think that was a In Search of episode with Leonard Nimoy. Sounds like a show that airs on the History Channel between Murder Files and UFO Investigation Unit. Book. Uh-oh, this is how Evil Dead starts. It's true. So, should we decide to look in the book? I mean, do we want to start Evil Dead? Is that how we want to start that? We want what is yours. Life. We're doing it. We're going to the book. Okay. Oh, man. All right. Let's see what's in the book, you say. Jeff starts to pull it down. Careful, you say. Don't touch the ones next to it. They look as if they might fall apart if you even breathe on them. Jeff sits down on the floor and opens the book to the first page. You kneel beside him and read over his shoulder. Chapter 1. The great magicians have 3 basic secrets that give them their power. The first of these is... Here we are, taking the book. That's a big book. Wow. Looks like we're wearing Nike shoes. Oh no, our friend is. We're not. I don't know what we're wearing. I don't see the swirl in our shoes. Okay. We're rocking Nikes. No, that's our friend. I think that's our friend Jeff. He's rocking the Nikes, unfortunately. We're wearing New Balance or something. I like big books and I cannot lie. Sounds like it does. Oh, here's the book. He's like, Jeff gives a little gasp and whispers, "What's going on? It's fading out." All right, go on to the next page. This is terrible, you say out loud, forgetting to whisper. We're in trouble now, Jeff says. I didn't mean to damage any property. Wait, look, you say. The writing is coming back. The writing slowly becomes clearer, until finally you can make it out. However, the words are different now from the ones that you saw before. Turn to page 14. Oh, and here is what it says on the book. Something about trespassed in this house, tampered with property, and caused damage. Leave immediately and never come back, or you will be arrested. I wonder if it'll actually then tell us that on page 14. Because we just read that, so... Well, that's what it's going to tell us that it says. The page now reads, You have trespassed in this house, tampered with property, and caused damage. Leave immediately and never come back, or you will be arrested. You carefully replace the book on the shelf. Then the two of you make a beeline for the door. Neither of you says a word until you pass between the high hedges and reach the street. There's not much use talking about what happened. It's obvious that you're not about to learn the secrets of Bonza, the magic master. The next day at school, you describe the book to your science teacher. How could such a thing happen, you ask. Chemicals, he says. Though I don't know exactly which ones, like we were on some chemicals or chemicals in the book. No. The ink in the first message would have to be made of a chemical that fades when it's exposed to light. The second message would be written with an ink that only shows up when it's exposed to light. Well, you think at least I learned one of Bonza's tricks. The end. Yeah, it was a gas leak. That's what it was. Oh, in our house? It was chemicals. Yeah. Chemicals. Some chemicals. You see, there were some chemicals coating the page that were allowed you to hallucinate. So it was absorbed through your skin when you touched the page. All right. The end. Well, that was fun. All right. So do we still want to see if Bonza will make us apprentices? Well, let's see what would happen if we page 40. We touched the book. We did touch the book. That's the chemicals that he was talking about. We went into the house. Well, I would skip out early too if there was delicious pizza. Well, that's nice of him to do that. Yeah, I should probably eat delicious pizza with him. Yeah, I'm glad we were able to stay long enough to get at least one good ending. We didn't an ending where we didn't get killed. Well, I don't know if it was good. It was. We didn't die, so I mean that's not too bad. Probably had chocolate on our hands or Dorito powder. Oh yeah, so that's how we ruined the book. We probably have like orange stains all over the book now. Yeah, enjoy your pizza. Oh, whoops. All right, so make us apprentices, and then we went to 27. All right, so maybe decide to not look in the book then. Decide to look in the next room. Advocated for what choice the first time? Opening the book? Let's just go to the next room then. Forget the book. Let's look in the next room, you whisper. You and Jeff peer through the door into what seems to be a storeroom. Oh, asked to be an apprentice. That's right. Not breaking and entering. Well, we wanted to be his apprentice. We went to his house, and then we decided to break into the house. Forget the book. Let's look in the next room, you whisper. You and Jeff peer through the door into what seems to be a storeroom. It's filled with lumber and woodworking equipment, drills, sawhorses, cabinets, and wooden boxes, black velvet curtains, mirrors, ropes, pulleys, glass balls, bottles, wire cables, film projectors, and all sorts of other odd things. A shaft of sunlight shining through a skylight lights up dust particles suspended in the air. Let's look in there, you say, pointing to a large cabinet in the middle of the room. I bet it has all kinds of secret compartments and stuff. Jeff has already started towards the cabinet. Suddenly, he stops in his tracks and points to a doorway in the opposite wall. You join him and look into the room beyond the doorway. It's dark, except for a floodlight on the ceiling, which is trained on a high table in the middle of the room. Sitting on the table is the largest cat you've ever seen. It's at least as big as a medium-sized dog. Its coal-black fur is standing on end, as if raised by static electricity. Its slanted green eyes seem to give off a light of their own. Wow, says Jeff. That's some cat. The animal's head moves. Its glowing eyes fix on you like a pair of spotlights. You back up a couple of steps. I wouldn't want that thing to jump on me, you say. And then the thing jumps on you. Turn to page 39. Jeff grabs your arm. It can't be real, he says. Cats just don't come that big. Maybe it's a hologram, you say, staring back at the huge cat. We've got to get closer to tell for sure. Okay, that's what I would do. Yeah, get closer. Jeff steps across the threshold and then stops short as a voice from within the room says, Beware! Turn back! Leave this house immediately! That's Bonza, Jeff says. I recognize his house from the show we saw. I can't tell where it's coming from, you say. The two of you peer into the corners of the room, trying to see if Bonza is hiding in the darkness. It's probably just a recording, Jeff says, but this place is getting a little too weird for me. Maybe we should get out of here. If you agree, turn to page 46. Turn back, Sarah, before it's too late. There was a song that I heard, Sarah. And I think that's the name of the song, is just Sarah. Say wrong. If we're going to do the wrong thing, let's go full wrong. So if we agree it's getting too weird and let's leave the house, page 46. We decide to stay and find out if the cat is real. Page 29. Let's stay with the cat. Jump straight into the devil's mouth. It'll be fine. So we're going to find out if the cat is real. Okay. Sure. Okay. Whoa. I want to get a closer look at that cat, you tell Jeff. You step boldly through the doorway. Good kitty, you say. If this cat's real, you want to make sure it's in a good mood. That's how you get a cat into a good mood, is to say good kitty over and over again. The cat stares at you curiously for a moment, then starts to purr. Its purr is as loud as its size is big. It is real, Jeff says. The two of you take another step forward, when suddenly the floor slides out from under your feet. You fall through a trapdoor and land with a thud on a pile of straw below. The door slides shut above you. You have no idea where you've just landed. It's pitch dark. You okay, you ask Jeff? Yeah, we only fell about 3 feet. But now what? He kneels and pushes against the trapdoor over your heads. It's locked, he says. Looks like we're trapped. Maybe we'll be able to find another way out once our eyes get used to the dark, you say. As you sit on the straw waiting for your eyes to adjust, you can feel yourself shaking, wondering if you're trapped for good. For all you know, Bonza may have gone away on a tour. You could starve to death before he returns. I still can't see anything, Jeff says after a while. Neither can I, you say. We'll just have to crawl around and see if we can find a way out. Okay, Jeff says. Take it real slow. There's no telling what we might run into here. And then here we are. Well, that pedestal is kind of creepy. There's like a snake and a skull and looks like octopus legs or something, and like a monkey or something like that. The art's really good though, I like it. Magical Mr. Mistopheles. That cat could let us out, but they won't. Of course not. They don't care. Turn to page 6. I wonder if we can still hear the cat purring though, above us. Alright. The ceiling is so low that it's impossible to stand upright. You crawl cautiously over the straw floor on your hands and knees. Almost immediately, your hand touches a rough cinder block wall. I just hit a wall, Jeff calls out of the darkness. So did I, you say. You feel along your wall. You feel along your wall, and I'll feel along mine. Okay. You crawl along the wall, feeling along it every inch of the way. You're only gone a few feet when you touch wood instead of cement. You push it. A tiny wooden door swings open, and bright light pours through, almost blinding you. You gasp and then cheer. The light is sunlight. The door opens out into Bonza's backyard. You crawl through and then hold the door until Jeff gets there. The two of you run around the house and race through the opening in the high hedge, hardly stopping to breathe until you're safely out on the sidewalk. Then Jeff stops and looks at you. I've had enough of the great Bonza for a while, he says with a shudder. Me too, you reply. From now on, I think I'll watch his magic shows from a good, safe distance. If the cat lets them out, they're just going to want to go back in again. That's true. That's what cats do. Yeah, I don't think we should go to any more 14 endings, and 2 of them so far. We haven't learned any magic at all. That is true. Maybe we should try not breaking into his house. That doesn't seem to work out too well. Yeah, we could ask him. That makes sense. Let's try that. So we did try to have him take us on as his assistants, and then oh yeah, the junior Choose Your Own Adventure books. Yeah, I thought of getting those, but those are probably a little too simple. It has to be a little bit of a risk. There's no way you can die in those books. I guess that would make sense. Yeah. Decide against it. Decide against it. Let's not break into his house. Let's get out of here, you whisper, but Jeff is already several steps ahead of you. The two of you are about halfway down the walk when a voice calls out from behind you. Hello? Can I help you? You and Jeff stop short, turn around, and look up. Standing on a second-story balcony is the great Bonza himself. You call up to him. We were wondering if we could talk to you. Sure, I'll be right down, he says. You turn back towards the front door and gasp. Bonza is already there. It's as if he has instantly transported himself from the upstairs balcony. Jeff grabs your arm. I can't believe what I'm seeing, he says. You can't believe it either. Bonza seems to be an even greater magician than you'd thought. You'd probably feel a little scared if Bonza didn't have such a jolly smile on his face. He reminds you a little of Santa Claus, even though he's dressed in black instead of bright red. When you reach the front step, Bonza says, Thanks for having the courtesy not to disturb my property. What can I do for you? I'm happy to be of service. Yeah, we never disturbed his property because we're good people. We would never do something like that. Okay. What can I do for you? I'm happy to be of service. Thanks, Jeff says. You introduce yourself and say, my friend Jeff here and I saw your show in Park City the other evening. We thought it was really great. And here he is, waving to us from his front balcony, just as we were walking away from his house. He's fat like Santa, and stout, and also big. And he has a fat, jolly laugh. Oh. All right. Well, good, says Bonza, looking more jolly than ever. Jeff edges in front of you. We were wondering if you could tell us how you do those tricks. Bonza's eyebrows go up. You think they're just tricks? You don't believe in true magic? Well, don't be so sure. Besides, if there were a trick to it, and I told you, you wouldn't have the fun of not knowing. You say, trying to think of what to say next. Finally, you grin at him. That's okay. Tell us anyway. Bonza shakes his head. Magicians never give away their secrets. The only way for you to find out is to become magicians yourselves. We'd like that, you say. We were hoping we could become your assistants. Ah, says Bonza. Then come on in. He leads you into his darkened living room and asks you and Jeff to sit on the sofa. Then he pulls up a chair to face you. I'd be glad to take you on, he says, but only if you can prove that you'd be better than my present assistant. I should warn you, though, that may be a tough job for you. He has ESP. You mean extrasensory perception, you say? Yeah, I think we've dealt with ESP, where if you think your ESP is telling you this, if you think your ESP is telling you that, yeah, the ESP wasn't as useful as we thought it would be. Yeah, we have ESP. Oh, good news, we also have ESP. Yeah, you thought we didn't. Oh, pizza is here, okay. Okay, sure thing. Yeah, eat your pizza. Eat your delicious pizza, Stephanie. And yeah, you can just watch the rest later. It's fine. See you next week. Okay. We'll have to steal, but it's only one person's job now. But there's two of us. Do we have to prove who has the better ESP? I guess we're not going to be friends with Jeff anymore. It's going to ruin our friendship. You mean extrasensory perception, you say? That's right. If you pick a card and then telephone him, he can tell you what card it is over the phone. I don't believe it, Jeff says. A deck of cards suddenly appears in Bonza's hand. Turn to page 16. You now have to fight each other to the death. Only one of you can become my assistant. Jeff whispers, I bet he had them up his sleeve. Hearing him, Bonza shakes his sleeves. I never keep anything up my sleeve. He folds his hands primly in front of himself. Suddenly, a canary pops out from under one of his sleeves. Bonza pretends to look startled. Oops, I guess I was wrong. He gets up and puts the canary in a cage on the other side of the room. When he comes back, he's holding out the deck of cards. Take a look through it. Make sure it's okay, he says, handing you the deck. You rifle through the deck of cards as Jeff looks on over your shoulder. I bet the cards are marked, Jeff says. The cards aren't marked, Bonza says, but it wouldn't matter if they were. My assistant wouldn't be able to see any kind of marking over the phone. Well, if he had a smartphone, he'd be able to. He would just do a Zoom call or something, right? Okay. Pick a card, any card. You pull out the 6 of clubs. Okay, says Bonza. Now we'll phone my assistant, Ralph, and you'll see that he really does have ESP. Wait a minute. Where is this assistant of yours? Jeff demands. How do we know he isn't hiding behind that portrait on the wall? Bonza turns around and looks up at the portrait. Do you like that? It's a portrait of Harry Houdini, the greatest magician who ever lived. Doesn't look anything like... That does not look anything like Howard Houdini. Oh, sorry, Harry Houdini. I don't even. It does look like Harry Houdini. It does look like Harold Houdini though, just not Harry Houdini. Oh my god. Okay. The eyes look kind of strange. They're different from a normal painting, Jeff says. Turn to page 30. That's because I had Harry Houdini's soul captured in the painting. He'll live forever. Bonza, still looking at the portrait, laughs. Of course the eyes look different. Houdini wasn't an ordinary man. Why should he have ordinary eyes? He turns back to you and Jeff. Oh, that makes sense. Sure. Good point. Oh, wouldn't it be nice if Ralph were willing to hide behind a portrait all day, hoping someone would come along and pick a card? He points at Jeff. No, you're wrong, young fellow. Ralph doesn't even live in this town, much less in this house. He lives over in Park City. Jeff frowns, looking puzzled. Okay, go ahead and call him then. Wait a minute, you say. How do we know you won't whisper something over the phone? I'll call him. Fine, says Bonza. He writes Ralph's number down on a piece of paper and hands it to you. There's the phone over on my desk. By the way, since it's a long-distance number, you have to dial 1 before the area code. Well, like we don't know how to dial a phone number. Wow, he really is a magician. He knows how to dial phone numbers. Wow. Wow, I've never dialed a long-distance number before. My parents don't let me. Okay. All right, you say. But stay in that chair while I'm calling him, okay? And don't look at the portrait, Jeff puts in. Go on to the next page. Bonza is a liar. The portrait is Houdini, the 80s rap group. Oh, that's what it is, right. That's right, he had a bunch of Houdini paraphernalia. There was, didn't he have like a Halloween party, right? Or, no?
It wasn't Halloween, but yeah.
But it was a party at his house, yeah. Bonza laughs. Sure, whatever you say. He gestures with his hands, and as he does, another canary hops out of his sleeve. This one takes off and starts flying around the room. What if Jeff is inside the canary and can see that way? No. What if Jeff is the canary? Wow. Bonza chases it all over the place. Finally, the bird settles on the upright piano at the other end of the room, and Bonza is able to cup his hands gently around it and take it to the birdcage. You and Jeff laugh as you watch Bonza's antics. But as the magician snaps the door of the birdcage shut, Jeff says to you, he's trying to distract us. Maybe so, you say under your breath, but I don't see what good it can do him. He hasn't gotten near the telephone. Bonza returns to his chair. Sorry about that, he says. Now I promise not to get out of the chair again until after you've talked to Ralph. You dial the number. After a few rings, someone answers. You keep an eye on Bonza, making sure he's not up to any tricks. Is Ralph there, you ask? This is Ralph. Bonza is still sitting motionless, his mouth tightly closed. Hi, you say. My friend and I are over at the Great Bonza's, and he says you have ESP. That's right, Ralph says. I can't explain how it works, but I do. Well, then, you say, I guess you can tell me what card I'm holding right now. You cup your hand over the mouthpiece. If Bonza whispers anything, you don't want Ralph to hear it. I'm having a little trouble, Ralph says. Could you concentrate a little harder on the card? Okay, you say. You concentrate on the card you're holding. Go on to the next page. Oh, sure, I got it now, says Ralph. The 6 of clubs. You're right, you say. That's amazing. No problem, says Ralph. I've got to run. It was nice talking to you. The phone clicks as Ralph hangs up. Did I hear you say he got it? Bonza asks. Yeah, he did, you say. But I don't understand it. You glance at Jeff, but he looks as baffled as you feel. And there's the 6 of clubs. Is your fridge running? Whoa. Is there something wrong with your stove?
Uh-oh.
You know, I was thinking... Oh, that's funny. I always think there was something wrong, like, when we first moved in. fire alarm's about to go off. There's something wrong with your plumbing. I think you need a new sewer line. Well, just as I told you, Bonza says, Ralph's got ESP. I'm not sure I believe in ESP, you say. Bonza's eyebrows go up. Oh, really? Well, maybe you're right, he says. Just because I say it's so doesn't make it so. Am I right, you ask? It's a trick, isn't it? If you want to be my assistant, Bonza says, you'll have to tell me. Now, I have a horse in the barn I have to tend to. I'll be back in a few minutes. Then I'll see what you two have to say. Too soon. Sorry, Rachel. I was thinking of like our stove, and then I was like thinking of like a friend of ours that had like a problem with their stove, where like, I mean, not your stove, I mean their stove. But there's not a lot of stove issues lately. All right. You'll have to tell me. Sorry, I didn't mean. Yeah, sorry. I don't think. Yeah, I don't think she appreciates it. I'm sorry. Bonza turned our sewer line into cardboard. Okay. Now I have a horse in the barn I have to tend to. Is that like a, no? That's not a figure of speech. He actually does have a horse in the barn that he has to tend to. That's not like a figure of speech that like someone has to use the bathroom, right? Excuse me. I need to go. I need to go relieve my horse. Hold on. Okay. Bonza walks out of the room, leaving you and Jeff staring blankly at each other. Do you have any ideas? Jeff asks. I'm stumped. Let me think, you say. You close your eyes, trying to concentrate. By the time Bonza comes back, you have come up with 3 theories about how Ralph knew what card you were holding. One is that Ralph knows that whenever he's called, the card is the 6 of clubs. Another idea is that the number you were dialing belongs to a telephone right in this house, maybe behind the portrait of the great Houdini. The third idea is that Bonza is telling the truth, and Ralph actually does have ESP. Go on to the next page. Well, Bonza says, returning to the room and looking straight at you. Do you have an explanation for me? ESP is real. That's got to be it. It's the great 2021 stove apocalypse. Yeah, so they had an issue where like the stove was fine until you turned it up to a certain. The stove was fine until you turned it up to a certain temperature, and then it wouldn't reach that temperature. But then if you turned it up just a little bit more, the temperature would be like a lot hotter than it was supposed to be. And then if you turn it back down again, it would be fine. So they ended up like replacing their stove. And then when we were checking the house at first, neither the stove nor the microwave were working. And they had to do something with the electricity to fix that. Anyways. But yeah, our sewer line was actually made of cardboard. If you say that Ralph knows that when he's called, the card is always the 6 of clubs, turn to page 44. If you say that Ralph is here in this house, probably behind the portrait of Houdini, turn to page 41. If you say that Ralph really does have ESP, turn to page 20. Oh, he has ESPN. That's it. Yes. He watches ESPN, and ESPN just tells him. So, but we picked a card at random, and they weren't all the same cards. So how would Ralph know that whenever he's called, it's going to be the 6 of clubs? Because that doesn't make any sense. I mean, unless somehow it does make sense, and someone can explain to me how that makes sense. And if Ralph, well, Bonza already said that Ralph, like, he wishes that, like, Ralph could just be behind that portrait of Houdini all the time, just waiting for someone to come into his house, but he had no way of knowing that we were going to come into his house, unless somehow, okay, maybe Ralph had ESP enough to know that we were going to go to the house, then he went to the house ahead of time and got behind the portrait of Houdini, but he doesn't have ESP to know what card we were picking up. That could be it. No, that makes no sense. Or we could just say that Ralph. Yeah, why did he ask us to concentrate more? Oh, they always do that. Like in the magic tricks and stuff, they like concentrate on the card that you're holding, like form an image of it in your mind. Ralph is calling from inside the house. He already knew. So should we say that he's hiding behind the portrait of Houdini? That's right. He had to set up Ralph and say, you know, maybe he has a secret video camera in the room, and as soon as he turns the video camera on, it sets an alarm off at Ralph's house, and Ralph knows to tune into the video camera, and there's cameras maybe everywhere at every angle in the room, so no matter where you are in the room, that might be it. I mean, but that's not one of the choices. Portrait. All right, portrait. Sorry. Taking way too much time to think about it. The explanation, you say, is that the phone is rigged so that it's connected to where Ralph is perched behind the painting of Houdini. Ralph is hiding there, and he can spy on us through the eyes in the portrait. Well, that's an ingenious idea, Bonza says. I could have hooked a telephone line directly to a space of some sort behind the painting, but then you wouldn't have had to dial 1 and then the Park City area code to use it. Well, that's true. I mean, they didn't have call forwarding back then, right? You might have some kind of special arrangement with the phone company, Jeff says. Or maybe you just have Comcast phone service. Bonza chuckles. Well then, if you don't believe me, go up and touch the painting's eyes. You'd had the same idea yourself, and you crossed the room eagerly. Standing on tiptoe, you can just reach the top of Houdini's head. You run your fingers across the eyes. They're definitely painted. There are no cracks in the paint. There's no way those eyes could open. As you walk back across the room, Bonza says, No, I give you my word. Ralph wasn't behind the painting or anywhere else where he could spy on us. Then how does the trick work, you ask? Just tell us. Bonza smiles mysteriously. That's a secret, he says. He gets up and gestures for you to follow him towards the door. I thank you for your interest. I'm glad you both stopped by. If either of you ever figures out how Ralph knew which card you were holding, come back. Then, if you're still interested, I'll hire you as a magician's assistant. As you and Jeff walk home, you realize that maybe you don't have what it takes to follow in the footsteps of the magic master. Oh, that's sad. Just keep getting rejected. Just want to reach out and touch someone. This magician sucks. All right. Should we just say that he really does have ESP? Fine, you have ESP. Or should we say that he always knows that it's the Six of Clubs? Which, like, that makes no sense. It's like when your poem Magic Master got rejected from the magazine. Magic Master. Yeah. 44. All right. All right, let's see what happens there. I bet Ralph knew when I called him that I was holding the Six of Clubs, you say. How would he know? Bonza demands. I gave him a clue of some kind. Bonza raises an eyebrow. But you didn't give him any clue. Yes, I did, you say. You gave me a number to call and told me to say to Ralph. and told me to say Ralph. That's the code word for the Six of Clubs. Bonza looks perplexed. I didn't tell you to say Ralph. I told you his name was Ralph. Yes, but if I had held a different card, you would have told me his name was Pete or Bill or Jack or whatever. The great Bonza gets out of his chair and comes over and shakes your hand. Very good, my young friend. It's true. The fellow you called is not named Ralph at all. His real name is Scott, but he only answers to Scott if the call is from someone holding the 10 of diamonds. There are 52 cards in the deck. That means Scott must have 52 names, you say. Exactly, says Bonza. And that means that if you'd still like to, you can have the job of magician's assistant. I'm sorry I can't hire you too, he says to Jeff, but I need someone who thinks on his feet. That's okay, Jeff says, but on the way home he looks kind of glum. You cheer him up, however, by promising to tell him everything you learn. Ah, Jeff. Sorry, Jeff. Rejected. The next week, you return to Bonza's house at 9 in the morning, with the agreement that you will work at your new job for 3 hours every Saturday. He takes you to a workshop on the other side of the house. It's jammed with electric tools, workbenches, lumber, wires, batteries, and strange-looking electronic equipment. This looks like some kind of factory, you say. I have an even bigger workshop in the barn, Bonza says. To be a magician, you need a lot of equipment. You have to be a carpenter, a plumber, an electrician, a tailor, all sorts of things. Your first job for Bonza is helping him to build a cabinet with a false bottom. He gives you some tips on how to make furniture, and you both get to work. After working for a couple of hours, you need a rest. You put down your hammer and go over to watch Bonza, who is placing a piece of coral into a fish tank. Oh, drink some water. Jeff grows up and becomes a supervillain with the power of the dark arts. That's right. Oh, Jeff. When Amazon controls everything. Well, this is kind of when it got started. It was 1995, right? Yeah. Just a simple person with a dream of controlling everything. This is for my disappearing fish trick, he says. The coral I just put in the tank is hollow. Inside is a miniature projector that projects a hologram of a fish inside the tank. I can make the fish disappear by turning off the projector with a remote control. Of course, the lighting must be just right and the projector aimed at just the right angle for the trick to work and be convincing. Wow! Before you get back to work, could you teach me a trick I could do on my own, you ask? And there he is with all his tools. Yeah, I definitely like the illustrations in this book. Can we get a tank? Oh, for like in real life? We want this technology. Okay, page 55. Okay. Bonza grins. Why not? He takes off his smock, goes to the closet, and takes out a jacket. Then he shows you a tiny drinking glass, only an inch across and a couple of inches high. He fills it halfway with water from the sink and holds it in front of you. Now, I'm going to make the water in this glass disappear right in front of your eyes. I'm watching, you say. Bonza says, First I have to get some powder from my back pocket that makes the water disappear. He holds the tiny glass in one hand, and with the other reaches around behind him. When he brings his hand back, he seems to pinch something into the glass. Whatever it is, you can't see it, but suddenly not only the water, but the whole glass is gone. Confound it! I lose more glasses that way, Bonza cries. What happened? Where did it go, you ask? You're impressed. You were watching carefully. It looked to you as if the glass really did disappear into thin air, although you know that there has to be a trick to it. I know, but just like, this book gave away all our secrets back in 1995. Like Penn and Teller were like, man, this is so wrong. Oh, wait. Page 64, okay. Bonza looks around on the floor and even up at the ceiling, as if the glass might be up there. I really have trouble with that trick, he says. I just wanted to make the water disappear, but then the glass disappears too. You did an even bigger trick than you planned, you say. At the same time, you're trying to figure out what happened. I bet somehow the glass went up your sleeve, you say. Bonza's eyebrows shoot up. You think so? He shakes his sleeves vigorously. Nothing comes out. I wish that were the answer, he says. Then I'd have my glass back. So he's still not going to tell us how he did it, though. Oh. We make up a new trick that magicians don't do to reveal to the crowd. That's a good idea. This book had its own Fox documentary special. What was it, 42? Yes, 42. It's the answer to everything. Answer to life, the universe, and everything. Was that 42, right? Yeah. You look at Bonza skeptically. Are you sure it's not up your sleeve? Bonza laughs. Come to think of it, if the glass had gone up one of my sleeves, the water would have splashed and the cuff would be wet, right? Right, you agree. Feel them. You run your thumb and forefinger all the way around each of Bonza's shirt cuffs. They're both perfectly dry. That's great, you say. Thank you, says Bonza, with a little bow. And now, since you're a magician's assistant, I'll show you how it's done. Bonza takes off his jacket and holds it so you can see the lining. Tucked in the back is the missing glass. In the glass is a little rubber ball, just big enough to act as a stopper. At the top of the ball is a tiny screw eye, which is connected by an elastic thread to a safety pin attached to Bonza's jacket. Bonza pulls on the glass, and the thread stretches enough so that he can put the glass on the table. He then pulls the ball out of the glass. The water is still in it. Before I do this trick, Bonza says, I run the thread up through my sleeves and palm the ball. When I'm ready to do the trick, I press the ball into the glass until it's stuck. When I let go of the ball, the elastic thread pulls it and the glass back through my sleeve and around to my back. The ball acts as a cork and holds the water in. That's why my shirt cuffs don't get wet. Don't get wet. Bonza has been creepy. See, he's not fat. That guy's not fat at all. He does look kind of like Santa Claus. Like the Burl Ives Santa Claus. Wasn't that Burl Ives? He is a little creepy. It's a creepy next door neighbor. 26, right? That's neat, you say. I can't wait to learn it. It's not hard, Bonza says, but like most magic tricks, it takes practice. You and Bonza go back to work. By quitting time, the cabinet you're building is almost finished. Good work, Bonza says. Next week I'll show you another trick. Sounds good, you say. I hope someday you'll teach me some of those big tricks, like making a horse disappear. Bonza laughs. I can't tell you my really big secrets, at least not until you're a full-fledged magician. When will that be? Bonza scratches his chin through his fuzzy white beard. You have to prove you're dedicated, he says. Dedicated? What do you mean? You have to prove that you really want to be a magician. After you say goodbye to Bonza, you walk down the sidewalk and through the opening in the high hedge in front of his house. You're surprised to see 10 or 12 people marching up and down the sidewalk. They're all carrying signs with slogans such as, Ban Bonza. We don't want Bonza in our town. Bonza's magic is a menace. Uh-oh, this must be the neighborhood watch group. When you give your soul to the Dark Lord. Once you give your soul to the Dark Lord, you will learn his secrets. Only two there are, the master and his apprentice. I don't want Bonza in my town. An angry-looking woman spots you coming through the hedge. You shouldn't have any dealings with that man, she shouts. You'll get yourself in trouble hanging around Bonza, someone else yells. You do your best to ignore the protesters and hurry away. The following Monday, yes, like, okay, whatever, Boomer. Whatever, Karen. The following Monday, you tell your homeroom teacher, Miss Gillette, about your job with Bonza and about the people picketing outside his house. I've read about them in the paper, she says. What do you think they're so angry about? I wish I knew. They just seem to be angry because he's so different. Gee, you say, I've learned some of his tricks, and they're really cool. I'll show you some myself. You don't have to, I believe you. But don't show any to those people picketing, Miss Gillette says. They'll probably think that you're a troublemaker too. There's all the people yelling at him. They're looking right at us too, this guy. He's like, hey, stop reading about Bonza. He's a menace. Bonza. We don't want Bonza in our town, alright? Get lost. Take your car to Harvard Yard. Bonza. As the weeks go by, you gain many new skills, and you learn several magic tricks. But Bonza doesn't seem to have his heart in his work. You suspect that the picketers have something to do with his attitude. They have been protesting outside of his house every day, getting louder and more insulting all the time. One Saturday, when you're through with your work, he says, I don't think you'd better come back anymore. People will begin to think you're a troublemaker like me. That's ridiculous, you protest. Lots of things are ridiculous, but they seem to happen anyway, Bonza says. Thanks for wanting to stick by me, but I don't want to drag a kid down into my feud. Maybe it will all blow over in a few weeks, you say. Bonza brightens a bit. Maybe. If so, then you can help me get ready for my next big show. A few days later, as you're heading for your bus after school, a man comes up to you. He's wearing a pinstripe suit and a tie and is carrying a leather briefcase. Hi, he says in a friendly voice. My name is Howard Stafford. I'm a lawyer representing the Concerned Citizens Group. What's that, you ask? It's a group of citizens who believe that the Great Bonza is a bad influence in our community. They've hired me to bring a lawsuit to get him to move out of town. Oh, that doesn't sound good. Yeah, this guy does sound sketchy. Bonza's sad. Bonza can't do Bonza's heart not in magic anymore. Whoa. Why should Bonza have to move away, you demand? Because he's a nuisance to the community, and he might cause a lot of harm. Really? I don't see how he could be any harm to anybody. Stafford wiggles a finger at you. Don't be so sure. There's something very strange about Bonza, and his tricks. But I've seen some of his tricks. I know how they work. Stafford shakes his head. Just as I thought. Bonza has fooled you with all his tricks. You've really been taken in by him. You can't even see what a menace he is to the standards of this fine community. It really is a shame. You seem like a decent kid at heart. If you could just escape from that black-suited troublemaker's treacherous influence. I've got to go, you say, or I'll miss my bus. Stafford points towards the waiting school bus. Go then, but remember, if you want to keep out of trouble, never go near Bonza again. Look at this. This guy's like accosting us. He's like about to like... It's like a grown adult basically about to assault like a 12-year-old. We're suing Stafford for litter. Yeah, he's like, we're being assaulted by Stafford. Yikes. I guess we're not going to be able to get a Stafford loan when we want to go to college. Oh, that's too bad. There's the school bus waiting for us. Man. We're like almost as tall as he is, though. We could take him. He's probably no match for, I think maybe we're 14. I don't know. It's alright. We've learned some magic tricks. This guy is so mad, I know. Oh, look at that again. He's like screaming at us. Okay. When you get home, you tell your parents about Mr. Stafford and repeat his warning to you. I've heard of Stafford, your dad says. He's the lawyer for the Concerned Citizens Group. The group is bringing a lawsuit to make the Great Bonza move out of town. They say that he makes a lot of noise, that he's a public nuisance, that he's corrupting children like you. They say he can't be killed. They say he drinks blood. No, he didn't say that. That's stupid, you say. They can't get away with that, can they? I wouldn't think so, your dad says. But if they can prove that he's a nuisance to his neighbors, they could order him to stop his activities. It's true that he's got a workshop and keeps animals. He's sort of running a business there, and I'm not sure that's legal in that part of town. He will make it legal. Your mom says, your father and I have always felt you should be free to learn about anything you want, as long as it's not immoral or illegal. From what you've told me, there's nothing immoral or illegal in what Bonza does. You've learned a lot about carpentry and electricity and other things, and mastered some good magic tricks. I'm beginning to worry, though, that some of the things Bonza does could be dangerous. Also, I hate to see you get too mixed up with these people in the Concerned Citizens Group. I'd just be careful if I were you. I'll be careful. You'll be dead. Page 54. You have a lot of trouble sleeping that night. You can't stop worrying about whether or not to keep your job with the Great Bonza. You're curious to learn more, but you must admit that there's something a little odd about Bonza. And you don't want to have half the people in town thinking you're odd too. He did lure a child into his house for unpaid labor. That is true. Stafford's actually a Nazi. I just thought there was something a bit odd about him. But he has a picture of Howard Houdini. How could he be a Nazi? Oh, did I say Harold again? Harry. Wait, yikes. Harry Houdini. Harry.
Just say Houdini.
Houdini. I'll just say Houdini from now on. If you decide to keep your job, turn to page 66. Turn to page 666. No. If you decide to quit, turn to page 45. There's no way we could pass as normal. It's already too late. We're already a little odd like Bonza. Also, we don't wear Nike sneakers, so the town already knows. So are we quitting? Are we going to tell Bonza? I'm sorry, Bonza. We just can't do it anymore. Keep our jobs? Yeah. Gotta keep doing it. Nope. You phone Bonza to tell him that you want to stick with your job despite anything the concerned citizens might say. I'm glad to hear it, he says. You've convinced me that you truly want to become a magician. For that reason, I want you to help me prepare for my next big show. Does that mean I'll learn some of your big secrets? Yes, indeed, Bonza says. You'll be helping me to prepare the equipment. You'll learn one of my big secrets this time. And someday, as you get better at your job, you'll learn them all. The next Saturday morning, when you go to Bonza's house, there are even more members of the Concerned Citizens group picketing than before. As they're about to pass through the opening in the hedge, a burly man comes up to you. Are you going in that house, he demands, grabbing your arm. Yes, I'm going in there. There's no reason I shouldn't, you say. Well, says the man, you tell Bonza that if he goes through with his next show, we'll have to take matters into our own hands. What does that mean? You twist loose from the man and hurry through the hedge. He shouts after you, You better warn him. It's for his own good, and yours too. When you get inside the house, Bonza is all smiles. Ah, I'm glad you're here, he says. Let's get started. We've got a lot to do. They're going to burn his house down. Page 79. You tell Bonza first about the warning the man outside gave you. Bonza laughs. Those crazies. What are they going to do? Hang me on the village green? Yikes. Scary. Bonza gives you a grin that changes your mood. Instead of being worried about the concerned citizens' threats, you feel like laughing at them. That day you work on building a platform for one of Bonza's tricks, while Bonza works on a complicated-looking device with pulleys and ropes. By 11 o'clock, the platform is finished. Bonza walks around it, bending over to see how the supports rest on the floor. He steps up onto it and jumps up and down. Good and solid, he says. Just the way I like it. I'm glad, you say. Is there another job you want me to do? No, Bonza says. It's time for us to talk about the show. You'll be helping me with two of my biggest tricks. I'll teach you how one of them is done, and I'll let you decide which one it'll be. Yeah. I think I know what you're saying about, Rachel. It's good and solid, just the way he likes it, right? Yeah. I'll teach you how one of them is done, and I'll let you decide which one it'll be. The first trick is the one where I saw a woman in half without her being hurt. The second trick is the one where I make a horse and rider disappear and then reappear somewhere else. I'd like to learn both, you say. Bonza wiggles a finger at you. You have to choose one. He's going to saw the kid in half. Whoops! Sorry. If you decide to learn how to saw a woman in half without hurting her, turn to page 56. If you decide to learn how to saw a woman in half and hurt her, if you decide to learn how to make a horse and rider disappear, turn to page 73. But yeah, we already kind of know how the sawing thing works, right? Like, it's not really a trick that nobody knows. The horse and rider? Yeah, horse and rider, right? Okay. Okay. Ever since I saw your show in Park City, I've been wondering how you and your horse disappear from the stage and reappear in the lobby, you say. I want to find out how it's done. Ah, yes, that's quite a trick if I do say so myself, says Bonza. You saw how I was sitting on the horse on a platform suspended by chains. Well, a machine makes the platform rise several feet in the air. I wave at the audience. The curtain is drawn in front of the platform again, so the audience can no longer see me or the horse. Then the curtain and platform collapse on the stage, and we've disappeared. Here's how that trick is done. After the curtain is drawn, the floor of the platform with me and the horse standing on it is slid back through an almost invisible opening in the backdrop, and another platform takes its place. The platform and curtain collapse, and there's nothing there. The audience never guesses that the horse and rider are just a few feet behind the backdrop. And before they think any more about it, the manager comes out and says the show is over. Seconds later, people are astounded to see me on my horse riding around in the lobby. But Bonza, how could you get to the lobby so fast? When we saw that trick in Park City, it seemed almost instantaneous. Page 61. The answer, my young friend, is that there are 2 horses and 2 riders. You only see the horse and rider on stage for a few seconds. The horses are practically twins, and the rider is dressed to look like me, with a false beard and a cape just like mine. In the dim light, no one can tell the difference. All the time I've been waiting on my horse out in the lobby. You smile, impressed. Just wait until I tell Jeff, you think to yourself. Why would we tell Jeff all his secrets, though? He's only telling you the secrets to you. So, after the show, Bonza surprises you by telling you that he's going to retire and move to Florida. When are you leaving, you ask? I'm afraid right now, he says. I've already sold my animals. A woman bought the horses. She had a van waiting to take them away after the show. The movers are taking all the things out of my house in the middle of the night. But why? Bonza grins broadly. So that when the concerned citizens come to picket me in the morning, they'll find that I've disappeared. But they'll probably think that you took off because you did something wrong, you say. I know, Bonza says with a wink. And they'll probably worry about it for a long time, too. The end. Oh, well, that's kind of sad. I thought we were going to help him set up his next big trick. I guess we didn't. Weren't we going to help him set up his trick? What? Fuck this. Forget about this kid. Screw him. Here's how I do my trick, but I'm not going to actually do it. See ya. No, we won't tell Jeff. Aw. Sorry, Bonza. Alright, well, I guess I'll stop there. It was fun reading this book. I definitely, I actually thought I thought he actually was like doing real magic. So this book I didn't know anything about the book beforehand. So I thought it's interesting. I like that it was actually like a magician that uses technology and like pulleys and ropes and things like that to do his magic. Like it wasn't actual real magic. So that was kind of cool. Like they kind of didn't tell you too much so that you'd think. I mean, because there's been plenty of other books where it's like it's real magic and you don't know what's real and what's imaginary and like stuff like that. There's like real magic stuff going on. So this was like actually the first book I think we read where there was like magic stuff happening, but it was all like kind of like a Scooby-Doo, like everything had an explanation and stuff. It was cool. I don't recall people picketing David Copperfield though. Well, maybe I think this is more like back in I almost feel like it was like back in the 80s where people were against things like Dungeons and Dragons, and like that's what it kind of brought to mind for me was people thinking that if kids do Dungeons and Dragons they'll like get connected so much to their characters, so like if their character dies then they have to die and all that stuff, and that it's crazy to think that like people believed that back then. But I mean, like even with like Harry Potter, they were like I remember I worked at this department store back in the 90s, and like Harry Potter was like didn't even have the Harry Potter movies out yet, but the books were a big deal. And there was like these 2 senior citizens that were like talking about how terrible it was, how kids shouldn't be reading about magic and stuff, and it's so horrible, so I don't know. I feel like if it was like the right community, it must be the community that you lived in. It must have been this like really quiet, like really conservative community. It's like really quiet street. Like everyone's like, maybe like super religious or something. But and like very like not very tolerant, so just, they don't really have much contact with the outside world. But yeah, I almost think this would be like more like something from the 80s, but it's actually from the mid 90s. I don't know what kind of place that would be. Satanic Panic, right? People did mess with Blaine, yeah. They had that South Park episode where they became Blaintologists. Was that South Park episode? I think so. Telling someone there was a Harry Potter slam and a grandmother bedded in to tell you not to go to it. Yeah, like, yeah, it's kind of silly, but I can almost imagine that happening. I think maybe it was more people just didn't. Maybe he did make like a lot of noise like all times during the day, at all hours of the day. Like maybe there was like a lot of light coming from his house 24/7. Like he was working really hard to prepare for his magic tricks, and like probably all the wood that he had to saw all day long probably made a lot of noise. So maybe it was like a noise pollution nuisance thing. So they might have had a point, but I don't know. I mean, I guess he could have moved to a house that was like more remote. Maybe he'll just maybe he moved to Florida and moved to like a nice remote place in Florida, bought a bigger place and does all this magic there now. Well, probably not like right now, since this was 25 years ago. Anyways, but yeah, you're welcome, Rachel. Yeah, I'm just starting to like kind of blabber on. Go watch The Prestige now. Complete the experience. The Prestige, is that the one where well, no, I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, that is a good movie, Prestige. Yeah. Okay, have a good night, Rob. Have a good night, Rachel, and yeah, I'll see you guys in another week. Take care.